Good morning friends. So, the prevailing conditions in India as well as in state of Maharashtra force everyone to work from home, and hope everybody is taking due care to stick with the message given by the government of India or government of Maharashtra. As a part of academic related to the subject advanced earthquake engineering, I am here today to start with the post MSc syllabus of this subject. So, basically if you look at the post MSc syllabus, so the major thrust area is nonlinear analysis. So, I am going to start slowly with the nonlinear analysis, and I will make a point that you will understand this nonlinear procedure, and after the nonlinear analysis we will try to discuss on the issue of the seismic vulnerability assessment, which is also more important as per your syllabus is concerned. So, let us start with the topic. So, we are going to discuss about the seismic analysis, seismic nonlinear analysis. So, as a prerequisite for this nonlinear seismic analysis, let us try to put some lights on what we have learned so far, or what is the prerequisite to start to this nonlinear analysis. So, as per the seismic analysis is concerned, so seismic analysis is broadly divided into two parts. The broad category we can make as a linear analysis and non-linear analysis, and this again this particular linear or non-linear part has two subcomponent. So, this is the static and this second will be the dynamic. The same is also applicable for the non-linear analysis. So, if you look at this content, then broadly we are having the four different types of analysis. So, the first one is the static linear analysis, which is called as, which is also referred as our conventional analysis. Generally, this conventional analysis is based on the formulas available in literature, and based on these formulas we are able to find out the time period or the base shear of the structures and all those things. The second part is the dynamic linear analysis, and popularly it is known as the response spectrum method. So, we are familiar with the response spectrum part of this seismic analysis. We are going to focus on this non-linear analysis now, and what we are going to discuss today is this static non-linear analysis, which is also popularly known as SPA. So, the meaning is static pushover analysis. So, we are going to discuss this static pushover analysis in depth by considering one problem of a single story as well as one problem of multi-story, and to end with the pushover curve. Addition to this, the other prerequisite of this particular topic is the performance level and these performance levels you can refer from FEMA 356 or ASC 41. So, we will discuss this performance level because this is the prerequisite of starting with the static nonlinear part. So, as per the damage scenario is concerned, which is obviously the post earthquake scenario. So, there are four damage state which generally we can consider in the performance level as a performance level. So, if you look at these performance level, So, we will end with this kind of a diagram. So, this is I am going to refer as higher performance level, and we will end with the lower performance level. As per the losses are concerned, so these are the performance level, though the performance level is high. So, the loss is less loss, or you can call this as a minimum loss. The other counterpart will be more loss, or you can call this as a significant loss. So, these losses, these performance levels are the 4 where we are going to form the hinges. So, these performance levels we are going to call. So, this level is refer as operational level. So, this is called as IO. The IO means immediate occupancy. So, the next one is life safety, and this is called as a collapse prevention. So, there are 4 points or 4 different damage stage. On basis of these damage stage, the potential hinges will be developed in the structure. So, obviously, you can refer the literature and try to understand what is the immediate occupancy, life safety as well as collapse prevention. So, we are not going to discuss that particular part at this particular point. So, the idea broadly I have given you, these are called as the higher performance levels, whereas these are called as the lower performance levels. The loss will be less for the higher performance levels, and the loss will be more for this lower performance levels. For this collapse prevention kind of hinge, obviously the loss will be the significant. At the same times, we are supposed to discuss, we are going to discuss the issue of the backbone curve given in FEMA 356. So, just as for a broad understanding, I will try to draw the curve. So, this is the y axis which is for force. So, this is for deformation on x axis. So, this force deformation curve given in this AC 41 or FEMA 356 has 5 valid points. So, the curve will be like this. So, this is point A, point B, point C, point D, point E and point F. So, this is popularly known as the backbone curve given in AC 41. So, what are the point to note? So, here this slope refers the initial stiffness, whereas this slope or this area is called as stiffness hardening area. So, this is the point from the which the stiffness will drastically reduce, or we can going to call we can going to find out whether this is the point of yielding or what. This is the highest point as per the force level is concerned in this curve. So, these are the points on basis of which or on basis of which we are going to define the final output of this discussion. Then the other important aspect is you should know the two important definition. So, one is called as a earlier we have discussed this. So, this is called as the demand capacity ratio. So, this is the demand of the structure, which is popularly known as the seismic demand, and this is the capacity. And it is assumed that the potential hinge is going to develop when this DCR is equal to 1. So, when the demand capacity ratio is 1, so there will be development of the hinge. So, that is the assumption. At the same time, so which is again what is this overstrength factor. So, I will write about this overstrength factor. Which is the ratio of expected movement by design movement. So, with this discussion, let us discuss one problem of a single story structure, and as the end results we will end up with this pushover curve. So, the problem is we are going to consider the single story structure which has the top slab, the assumption is, or the important point is, this slab is rigid at top. The height of building we are going to consider as 4 meter. So, we are going to assume the plan area of this building as 5 meter by 5 meter. The building consists of 4 different columns. So, this is having the column size of 400 by 400 millimeter. We will consider this building in a active seismic zone, that is the building is located in zone 5. At the same times we will consider the building as a special moment resisting frame, and this building is a simple building consists of 4 columns. Therefore, the number of occupants will be less, then obviously the importance factor will be 1, I value is 1. So, to summarize this, the same times we will consider this overstrength factor as a 2, and we will going to discuss this particular value of plastic rotation capacity before forming hinge as 0.002 radian. Same times we will discuss the seismic weight of structure as 1 ton per meter square. We will make sure that the grade of concrete to be used in analysis will be the M30, and the type of soil obviously hard. So, I will try to list out the given condition in the problem, or I can summarize the data given in the problem. So, the rigid slab, the slab is rigid means in plane or out of plane there is no probability to develop the potential hinges in the slab, means whatever the failure is going to occur, so that failure will be initiated by the formation of the potential hinges in the column. So, that is the assumption, the first one. Then The height of building I am going to consider h as a 4 meter or 4000 millimeter. I can consider this third data as size of column, which is 400 by 400 millimeter. Then the plan dimension is given here, 5 meter by 5 meter. Then the value of Z is 0.36, so active seismic zone. Then the value of I is 1, the value of R is 5. Then the O strength factor which is omega, which is equal to 2, and we have the value of theta p as 0.002 radian. So, this is the data. Same times the other data, the grade of concrete is M30, seismic weight 1 ton per meter square, and the last one, the type of soil hard. So, this is the summary of data given in the problem. So, let us discuss in detail. We will start with the linear analysis, and then we will consider the non-linear part of this analysis. So, let us start with the linear analysis. So, in this linear analysis, the first one we will try to find out the base shear as usual. So, the base shear is the product of AH and W. The AH is horizontal acceleration coefficient, which we can write as Z by 2 into I by R into SA by G into B xi into W. So, W is the seismic weight of structure. So, we will try to find out, we will try to quantify the seismic weight. So, the plan dimension is 5 by 5 and the distribution of weight is 1 ton per meter square. So, it comes to be 25 ton, which is 250 kilonewton, which is 250 kilonewton. So, this is the seismic weight. So, then again the base shear will be the Z 0.36 zone 5 by 2, the I is 1, the R is 5 as it is SMRF, special moment resisting frame. The SA by G, it is one story structure. So, the time period of the structure is 0.1 second. Okay. So, our the rational formula is 0.1 n. So, story is 1, therefore 0.1. So, the if you see the spectra in code, so for 0.1 to small range of the 0.4, it is having the highest value, which is 2.5. The views high is 1, as it is RCC building. So, this is the part of Vb, and this is again multiplied by 250 kilonewton. So, this comes to be 22.5 kilonewton. This comes to be 22 point structure. I think there will be no issue for computation of this base shear. Then the other part we will also try to compute. So, this is having the fixity at the two end, therefore, the stiffness of this frame will be 12 EI divided by L cube, 12 EI divided by L cube. So, the E will going to reflect the material, I is going to reflect the cross section of the members. So, here the cross section of the members means the cross section of the column, and L will be the height of this structure. So, this is the formula to consider the stiffness of one column. So, obviously, it will be multiplied by force, because in our analysis we are having 4 different columns. So, I will start one by one. For column section of 400 by 400, BD cube by 12 means it is 400 raised to 4 divided by 12. What is the value? 2.13 into 10 raised to 9. So, this is 2.13 10 to the power 9 millimeter raised to 4. The other value is E. So, it will going to govern from the material characteristic. So, the value of E is 5000 under root of the grade of concrete FCK, that is 5000 under root FCK is 5000 under root 30. So, this value is how much? 27.38. So, 27.38 into 10 raised to 3. So, this is the Newton per mm square, Newton per mm square. So, if you substitute this value in the above equation, so we are going to get the Kc. So, Kc I will refer as the stiffness of column, stiffness of rotation of the spring in parallel. Therefore, the stiffness of all columns are going to add. So, therefore, it will become 4 times. So, if you work out this value, then we are going to get the value as 43.81 10 to the power 6 Newton per meter. So, this is known as the equivalent stiffness of the frame or equivalent stiffness of the column. So, what is the use of this value? So, we will try to find out the time period of the structure, exact the time period of the structure. So, the time period of the structures is given by the formula. So, this is the value to be, this is the formula to be used, sorry. So, I will substitute the value 2 pi, the m is will come from the weight. So, 250 kilonewton or to 25 ton means this is roughly 25,000 kilogram, and divided by k, the value of k is just we have computed 43.81 10 to the power 6. So, this value is, so the time period of the structure is 0.15 seconds. So, this is the required information as per the linear analysis is concerned. So, we have the value of the base shear as well as we have estimated the value of the time period of the structure. Now, let us deal with the non-linear analysis. So, in this non-linear part, it is very important to estimate the spectral acceleration. So, in FEMA 356 or ASC, so we can have this formula. So, the spectral acceleration is again the product of SA by G. So, I am going to cancel the effect of G here, which is Z by 2 into I by R. So, this is the value of the spectral acceleration. So, in this formula, it is clearly given the spectra is completely associated with the earthquake and not with the structure, that you are supposed to understand. So, I will substitute the value, the SA by G value is 2.5, the value of gravitational acceleration is 9.81. So, this value is Z is 0.36 divided by 2, the value of I is 1 and the value of R is 5. So, if we work out this, so it comes to be 0.883 meter per second square. So, this is called as the spectral acceleration. So, the use of this spectral acceleration is to decide the spectral displacement or the displacement of the structure. So, we are having the formula, the SD is equal to T square divided by 4 pi square multiplied by the spectral acceleration value. So, just substitute the values as we have carried out the linear analysis. The time period is 0.15 second. So, 0.15 square divided by 4 pi square into the value of this acceleration is 0.883. So, this spectral displacement is 0.503 millimeter. So, this data we will now going to use for calculation of the design moment. So, before starting with the design moments, let me explain. So, because of this base shear, so this particular force is going to apply on the structures like this, and it is going to deform in this particular fashion in the other direction. So, this is I am going to call as a delta. Okay. So, as per the prevailing condition in the problems, so there is no scope to form the hinges in this slab. So, the potential hinges will be developed at 4 locations. So, the location of these hinges will be 1, 2, 3 and 4. So, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So, because of this development of potential hinges, there will be some movement is going to arrive at this hinge point. Okay. So, we are going to compute the value of this movement. So, we know that the design moment due to displacement of floor is given by the formula six EI h square into delta. Okay. So, this is generally one can compute by considering the simple structural analysis. So, 6 EI h square multiplied by delta. So, the h is the height of column or height of this resisting element. In our case, the resisting element is the columns. The 4 columns are responsible for resistance being produced because of the earthquake. So, this quantities already we have quantified, we have figured out. So, just we will substitute the value to know this the design moment. So, the 6 times the value of E is how much? The value of E is 27.38 10 to the power 3. The value of I is 2.13 10 to the power 9. The H, which is the height of structure, is 4000 cube and multiplied by delta. So, delta just we have computed, which is 0.503. 11.02 kilonewton meter will be the value of this design moment. So, the moment produced because of this force being produced at the hinges, or moment moment hinges produced at the hinges will be the 11.02 kilonewton meter. So, now, these are called as the design moments. So, we are having interest in expected moments, because the structure has some safety and we are supposed to address that particular safety. So, the expected moment will be the product of the overstrength factor and the design moment. So, the overstrength factor is in this case is 2 and the design moment is 11.02. So, we will get the value as 22.04 kilonewton meter. So, this is the expected moment. Supposed to estimate the demand moment in hinges, and the demand moment in the hinges is governed by the total resistance coming from the structure, and obviously this total resistance delta is referred previously V b into Y. So, this V b is obviously it will be governed by the boundary conditions. So, in our case the boundary conditions will be fixed. Okay. So, it will be 12 E I divided by H cube into the we are going to just let us see here, we are going to address the issue of the movement. Therefore, it should be multiplied by this particular delta and it should be multiplied by 4, because we are having the 4, the resistance will be the combined thing of this 4 column. So, this is the capacity of the structure. So, by using this formula we are going to compute what will be the value of the delta, relative value of the delta, and this is the pH cube divided by 48 E I. So, the same thing when the simply supported beam subjected to central point load. So, that particular value we are going to get here. So, it is assumed that all the identical values, the cross section is same, right, then the force on the structure is same. Therefore, all the hinges are going to yield simultaneously such, so that is the assumption, otherwise the problem will become complicated. Therefore, which is equal to M4 double dash or dash, you can refer. So, this we have established 6 E I divided by H square multiplied by delta. So, earlier time we have computed this particular, we have developed this equation. So, just we are going to substitute the values in this equation. So, by doing so, if I am going to substitute the value 6 E I by H square and the delta is equal to pH cube by 48 E I, we are ending with, so this h square will get cancelled here, the EI will get cancelled here. So, the final equations will be pH divided by 8. So, this is the, in short it is a demand, right. So, what is the capacity? The capacity what we have computed with the given data. So, earlier times we have computed the capacity of the structure as 22.04 kilonewton meter, whereas this will become the demand of the structure. Okay. So, if you try to work out, if we try to work out this particular DCR, so called DCR, so it is assumed that the hinge will going to yield, the hinge will going to develop when the DCR approaches to 1. So, this is our assumption. Therefore, in this case the DCR will be pH by 8 multiplied by 22.04, is it not? So, we are going to assume the DCR as 1, then we are having the interest to know the P is obviously the base shear. So, as a end product of this pushover curve, we will try to address the curve between the base shear and displacement, and the so called base shear is nothing but this P. So, this P is unknown. If you try to substitute the value of H as the height of structure 4, so this will become 8 into 22. What is the value of P? Now, P should be 44.08. So, if you substitute this, the P comes to be 44.08 kilonewton. So, this is the value of the P. So, we are now approaching towards the actual curve. So, we have estimated the value of the base shear, then we are supposed to address, we are supposed to find out the value of deformation. So, the deformation has two valid points. So, whatever the curve that will be developed by that the software is going to develop. So, the software will going to give us the clear cut non-linear curve, but as we are following the analytical method, whatever the curve we are going to get as output of this analysis, so that curve will be the normalized curve, or that is called as idealized curve or the bilinear curve. So, bilinear or idealized curve means the curve which has two well defined clear points, So, let us see here that the capacity of this particular theta p, the potential hinges will be 0.002 radian, and if you look at this particular type of curve, so the end product of this analysis, we will have the curve like this. On the y axis we can have the value of base shear, or we can call this force as a P. In this case, this is the value of P, and on this axis we are having the value of the deformation. So, the idealized curve, which is something like this. So, this has the two clear points. So, this is called as the delta y, this is called as a delta u. So, delta y is nothing but the yield deformation, and delta u is ultimate deformation of the structure. The point is, why I am explaining this now, because the rotation capacity of hinge is given in terms of radian, and it will going to govern the issue with respect to the height of structure, right. So, we are going to get this particular part, constant part, which is called as the delta p. So, by considering this value of the theta p, we are going to get the value of delta p. So, the delta p will be the product of this theta p into the height of structure. So, the theta p is 0.002 radian multiplied by the height of column. The height of column or height of structure is 4000. So, we are going to get the value as 8. So, whatever the 2 points, the bifurcating deformation between these two valid points will be 8. If you are going to express this deformation in terms of millimeter, then the delta u, which is the yield deformation, will be located at a distance of 8 mm from the point of yield deformation. Then obviously, we are going to locate now, if we are having the value of the p here, what is the p here? So, if I am project this, so this particular value of the p is the 44.08 kilonewton. Based on this logic, we are supposed to find out the value of delta y. The delta y in this case will be the pH cube divided by 48 times EI. So, I will just substitute the value. P is 44.08 10 to the power 3. The H is how much? 4000 raised to cube divided by 48 times the value of E is how much?
27.38
and the I is 2.13 10 to the power 9. So, if you work out this, we are going to get the value of delta y as 1.00 millimeter. So, this is the point 1.006. So, the deformation is being expressed in terms of millimeter. We have computed, just try to check the units. So, you are going to end up with the millimeter, and these 2 points, this point is located at a distance of, or the difference of 8, means it is going to approach us towards 9.006 in terms of millimeter. So, this is the end result of the procedure. So, we are going to end with the curve where you are going to get the pushover curve as the idealized curve. The curve is idealized because we are going to get the two valid locations over here, and these locations are separated by the constant distance of the delta p. So, hope that you have understood the procedure. So, you can implement this procedure for the single story structure where the hinges will going to form simultaneously. That is our prior assumption before starting the procedure. Actually, the hinges are not going to yield simultaneously. So, that condition should be ideal, then and then only it is possible. To understand the procedure only, we have considered that assumptions. In the other class, we will discuss the issue when the hinges are not going to develop simultaneously. So, to vary that particular part, we are supposed to vary either the material constant E, or we are supposed to change the cross section of the section, which is reasonably change in moment of inertia of the section. So, thank you very much for your patience hearing this video.